Hello, fellow maker. Welcome down to the shop. We've got an incredible guest today representing the Pacific Northwest, Emerald City Comic Con's second place cosplay winner, Kristy, the Honest Cosplayer. Thank you so much for hauling it up here from Portland.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
A pleasure to have you here. We're really excited. You had something very specific that you wanted to showcase from your costume, from your Link costume. From Breath of the Wild? Is it Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, this Emerald City Comic Con, I cosplayed as Link from Breath of the Wild, and I made a wig out of EVA Foam.
This dashing number over here. And you said you got a lot of questions about how it was made.
Yeah, and a lot of people wanted to touch it too, and so I thought we could make one together to talk about how I fabricated that out of EVA Foam.
That sounds terrific. So I'm not going to do a Link one. I'm going to do my favorite character, Wolverine. A little simpler. He's not going to have these ears, but of course you could add ears to yours if you want. Having a wig made out of foam has a lot of benefits. One being you can just like take it off like a helmet, right? Including like you don't need the prosthetic ears because they just sort of come off with the hair. Seems like a really handy and clever way to do wigs for a cosplay, and I'm really excited to learn how you did it today. Yeah. Let's take a closer look at Link here and see how you put it together. There we go. Already showing how easy it is for it to come off. And of course, this is patterned exactly to your head.
Yeah, so I made this for a couple of reasons. One is that I'm not a wig or a hairstylist, and so I wasn't really comfortable styling a wig, and I thought EVA foam might be a great solution for my particular skill set, which is working with foam and foam fabrication. Also, I wanted to make something that would fit specifically to my head, and I'm the type of person that has a lot of hair, so I wanted something that could fit over that hair, and I could just put it on and off, and was really easy to travel with. This is something that you don't have to worry about styling and restyling, and I could paint it to the anime style that I wanted, to the specific colors. It is something that I don't have to worry about putting on prosthetic ears because they're already attached to it.
I think that's one of the best features.
And this is something that my nieces love, the children in my family. The ponytail attaches and detaches, so depending on the direction that Link is headed, he might be falling.
It's posable.
It's posable, turning left and right.
That's terrific.
So
there's just magnets in there?
Yeah, there's just some magnets, which is super satisfying. You can hear the click of it.
Yep.
Inside of it, for some reinforcement, there's some 3D printed elements just to hold that in place, which is just made out of really simple PLA and then heat formed to the back of my head so that it's got a seamless fit.
There you go.
And there's some CosBond along the seams just to keep it, just to keep the seams tight, because your head gets really hot when you're wearing this, so it just keeps everything together.
Fabulous. Cool. Well, we're going to do a slightly simpler version today. Got a head form to work on. I've got a life cast of my twin brother, which if you don't have a twin brother, I recommend it. So we're going to build it something that'll fit me, and it's going to be a Wolverine one without the ears. Should be nice and simple. So the first thing we're doing is basically like a foam wig cap, right?
Yeah.
Or almost the same exact thing you would do for like a foam helmet.
Yeah.
We're going to make a pattern on our head, or Rob's head. Anyway, that handsome gentleman. We're going to do that with saran wrap, or any cling film type. Brand doesn't matter.
I just went for it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going for it. I just wrapped the whole thing.
But this is a lot easier with the head form than if I was getting entombed in plastic.
I mean, usually it's just me doing this by myself in a bathroom. You have a pair of scissors? We should.
Right there.
Nice. Oh, that's so nice. And you can start cutting tape.
How long of a piece? Several, like...
It doesn't really matter as long as we can get it nice and smooth. I do kind of like to start, I've had to do this a couple of times, just because as you're for those people who do have thick hair or they have migraine or headache issues, as your head changes, you make different head forms. I like to outline just about where I want it to be and then fill it in, like coloring in the lines.
Yeah. I've also found with patterns, it's worth doing like 2 layers of tape and get them to crisscross in opposite directions. Yeah.
He has some awesome sideburns too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Where are Rob's ears? Are they about right here? Right there. Okay. Let's do, and we can probably want to just pick one side.
Or mirror it.
And mirror it. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think that's probably deep enough for the widow's peak too. Draw in the midline here so that we can mirror it so that the sides are symmetrical. So I'm adding some registration marks, and I'll make sure that my registration marks are varied for each piece so that I know how they specifically go together and which pieces match up.
Got our Snoopy cap on. Great start. In fact, this is pretty much how you start making something like a helmet out of foam, which is why I wrote this book. We have our third Foamsmith book that's all about making helmets. And a lot of the techniques we're doing today are probably going to cross over. So if this is something that really speaks to you, head on over to our website and check it out. We have print and digital available.
It's actually where I learned how to do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I didn't, there's nothing in there about making it hair. That was all you.
But the wig cap.
Wig cap for sure. So next step, we gotta take it off. Try it on my head.
Yep.
Should I just pull it off?
Yeah, let's take it off. We'll trim off the saran wrap, and then we'll get it on your head and see how it looks.
Ooh. There we go.
Yeah, go for it.
And the registration is only on the one side because since heads are symmetrical, we only really need one pattern and we can flip it over.
Okay.
All right, moment of truth. Let's see how it fits. And we've got a spot over here for the sideburns too. Again, only on the one side. Actually, you can just...
Yeah, so this is a good point. So I'm gonna make sure it fits. Hold your head steady. It's nice to have a friend to help you with this if you're, or work in a mirror. How do you want it to? Do you want it to cover your ears?
I don't think so. I think it can come in front of my ear.
Okay.
Like a sideburn in front of it.
Do we want to, let's grab a reference photo.
This is one of my books about Wolverine because he's my favorite. And I've got some good references here for what we're going after. So his hair, maybe a little swoopy thing on the front, some sideburns, maybe not the full sideburns because I can grow that if I need to, but with the hair coming back like that. But I also thought it would be cool to do maybe a little blue, kind of the way they do it in the comic books. So we want the widow's peak for sure, sideburns coming down the side, and then the swoopy things on the back. Maybe not that dramatic. We got another example here. There it is. So that's even more cartoony there. That's kind of what we're going for. I think we should put blue in it. I think that'd be cool.
You can definitely, when you start doing paint swatches, you can match it to special effects makeup that you can then put the pigments into your natural hair to get a gradient effect too. And because you do have a little bit of a salt and pepper already in your natural hair, it will pick up that color really vividly.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is trace just where your ear is so we have a point of reference. And then also where your natural beard hairline is as we figure out what we want that to look like. I think about right there is where your natural hairline on your forehead is. Because Wolverine has a widow's peak. And we'll want it to look natural-ish. And I think we're probably going to need to add a little bit more tape here. Yes. Okay, but we don't want to do that on your head because we could tape your hair into it. If you've ever taped your own hair into something, it's miserable. It's a miserable experience. Do you want really long sideburns?
No, they don't need to be crazy. The first time I did a Wolverine costume was in 2013, I want to say. And Britt did Mystique, and our friend did Rogue. We were running around Emerald City Comic Con. And I got this photo. I'll dig it up. We found these parents had two kids. One was Mystique, one was Wolverine, and they really wanted to get a picture with us. The Wolverine kid had little sideburns stuck to his face,
Oh my
little
gosh.
claws. It was hysterical.
That's amazing.
They also had a Thor, I think. One of the kids was Thor. And all the kids rushed over to get their picture taken with us, and they're like, not you, Thor. But we got this great photo of me and Britt in our costumes with our tiny doppelgangers next to us. It was adorable.
Those kids are probably like 18 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going to college.
At least driving.
Hairline. That'll just give us something to work with. And then when we get to the actual, like, cutting it out, you know, it's foam. So we can trim it down if we don't like it, or we can add more to it. I think I'm going to go ahead and trace the widow's peak here, too. Which we can make more or less dramatic.
Like less than Vegeta.
Yeah.
Pretty dramatic.
Okay. Sweet. Okay, so now that we've got the pattern mocked up, we're just gonna cut out the pieces, and the registration marks are already on it, and I went ahead and labeled it so we know what pieces are what. And it's just a matter of cutting out the side that we're gonna be using. I'm gonna make a quick modification of this piece, right like that, and that's okay.
So far, this process has been very familiar. We got half of our pattern here, our first pattern. What are we doing next?
Next is transfer it to EVA Foam and assemble it. See if we like it, and if we do, we can make some small adjustments and keep it, and if we don't, we can make some small adjustments and make it again.
Very good. So we have some 4 or I think maybe 5 millimeter thick foam. This is what we had. We're just going to cut out all these pieces.
Yep.
Just going to punch out these registration marks so that they can be transferred to the foam. Yeah, it worked fine. This looks like a Star Trek badge. And then
Flip it.
that was A. There you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Gotta wonder just how many hours of footage we have of me cutting out foam. Fabulous! Look at all these parts.
Yeah.
This is, again, very comfortable, very much like helmet making. We have 2 pieces for each that have been mirrored, and now we want to start gluing these all together.
Yep. So time to break out the contact cement and start to get the edges glued up.
Alright. I'll get the respirators. There's that widow's peak.
Oh, that's nice when the seams come together like that.
Yep.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, it is. Need my new shower cap. It's gonna be awful.
Pretty close, though. It's pretty close. No one's gonna see it. We're gonna
Except for
cover it.
thousands of people on the internet. I think I might have thinned the barge just a bit too much. That's all right.
And something to think about too is that when you wear foam on a part of your body that's going to generate a lot of heat and sweat, it will expand a little bit over time.
Yeah.
So that's something like it will stretch a little bit. Sometimes when I make stuff I know that I'm going to be wearing on my head, I will wear it around my house for a while just to like get
Good
this.
idea.
Get this
I'm gonna
stretch
wear
out
this
of it.
every day.
Every day.
Kidding?
I think you should. It looks great. It fits really good. Do you feel like you've got a pretty firm?
Like if I was gonna swing my head around, it's not gonna
would
fall
stay
off or
on?
anything.
Yeah.
It feels pretty secured.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's a good start.
Here you go, Rob. Oh, that's such a good fit.
We got a little bit of seam separation,
we'll,
but that's okay. We can fix
We'll
that.
reinforce that.
Yeah. So we're gonna reinforce the seams on the inside just to give them a little bit of extra strength, and also to keep the hair from mixing with the contact cement. It's just kind of a comfort thing and a strength thing. And this is where I like to use CosBond. It's a nice reinforcing material. And so we just take the sticker tape and put it on the seam right down the middle and work our way.
Neat.
I imagine this will help, since my hair is probably going to be touching that directly and I'm going to be sweating in there, help keep those seams from wanting to fall apart.
I've had a lot of success doing this. I tend to wear a lot of costumes on my head, and this reinforcer tape has been a really effective strategy for bigger pieces and for smaller pieces. And it keeps the, like, no matter what, you always end up getting a little bit of contact cement here. So it keeps your hair out of it, which is nice because then you're not pulling your hair off when you take it off. But also it just keeps the seams together, which you generally want to do underneath all the stuff that you're building on top of it.
I'm going to join the Aquabats. I just need the eyepieces right there. This is great. This is like an awesome platform. We could build anything on here if we wanted to. But we're going to make Wolverine here. This is your head.
Yep, this is my head. And we just have it here for comparison to say to show that it's a really different shape because we have really different shaped heads and really different needs. Mine has space for hair when I wear my wig, and yours is a little bit rounder, and it's got a really awesome widow's peak. So next, we have to start styling it. So we need to start to get some foam floofs and start to put the pieces on.
Give it a little volume.
Yeah, and start to figure out where we want the shapes to be. I've brought a couple of different things with me. I spent some time, so I cut the strands out of 2mm EVA foam, and I just used what I had in my shop available to me. I used regular craft foam that I bought at my local craft store, and it happened to be black EVA foam, but you can use whatever color you have available. And I cut it just a couple of different lengths, I think 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch, and it's just a strand of EVA foam like you would have a strand of hair, and there's a lot of them.
The great, if you got a show you're watching, put it on in the background, get your cutting mat, and just go to town making a bunch of strands for your thing.
Then I took those, and just like regular wig making, I used masking tape and I laid those down and wefted them together into longer pieces.
All right, and I can see you've varied the length a little bit so that it's not, the ends aren't all the same length exactly.
I want to say, like, this is a technique I developed. I figured it out. I made it up as I went along. I could see somebody taking a piece of EVA foam and cutting the strands out, like, you know, like a longer piece, and cutting it out. So I experimented with that, and I opted to do this because it created more texture and it felt more robust to me when I was making the wig. So I felt like I had a more authentic, like, hair feel with it.
A really delightful looking hair piece there.
So you can start to see, like, as you like apply that and lay it down, you can then start to, just like a normal wig, start to style it and adhere it and put it together.
Cool.
And we have that in a bunch of different wefted lengths and then in individual hairs to put it together.
And we want to do like that little strand coming out on his forehead there.
And then also to build some of the three-dimensional shapes, there are three-dimensional EVA floofs made out of 5mm foam that we can lay and then put the wefts on top of to create some dimensionality to it.
That makes sense too, because we're not going to see the strands on the lower bit, so you might as well just build that volume with larger pieces. And then these are just cut out of EVA foam and then I imagine just rounded with a rotary tool.
I just used a rough grit sanding drum. I didn't need to go into anything fine grit because no one's going to see it. It just needs to have a surface that's rounded so you don't have sharp edges.
Fantastic. Some time has passed. Kristy's been doing a little prototyping over here just using pins. So you've cut out all these floofs, these volumizing sort of things to get the shape that we want. You're just sticking them on there. We've got more reference pictures as well. But these are all things you made ahead of time.
Yep.
And in fact, you've got a whole pile of shapes here that you used on Link.
Yeah, and these were just shapes that, you know, when I was making the wig for Link from Breath of the Wild, I had a reference that I was working from. So these are just shapes that I had made from that reference that I used to make all these different pieces. And so there's some that are just, you know, petal shaped, and there are some that are different moon shapes, and there are some that are longer shapes. And they just really came from looking at my reference and kind of guesstimating what it was going to look like.
And again, just using the pins, it's one of the greatest things about foam. You can just pin the thing together ahead of time before you glue anything to get it close to what you want the final look to be. And this is definitely approaching Wolverine-esque.
Yeah, it's a little bit like styling a wig in that we want to create the general shape of, he's got kind of a rectangular ear parts and then the sweeping back part on his scalp. And then you've got the sideburns and the curl, the front curl, the swoop.
Spit curl, I guess.
These are all very technical wig terms because we're experts in this. And you know, the next steps are going to be to start to use a little bit of heat to shape these things and glue them down. And since this is going to be something that's on your head where you do have a lot of heat and sweat, we'll want to use contact cement for that to really like adhere it to it.
Yeah, you don't want the hot glue melting and part of your hair sliding off.
And it's, I mean, it's really messy right now with just the pins, but we'll trim those down. We'll use a rotary tool to make the edges really seamless. And then...
So like along the forehead here, we'll want to make that transition to my skin a little nicer.
Cool, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to mark out where I'm going to glue this first weft. I'll move the weft off and actually apply the contact cement and then put the weft down.
So these are mostly just for indication. I like it.
I'm going to get it into the channels and onto the floofs. I sectioned off the hair because the next step is to glue it down, the foam hair, glue it down to the wig. Probably the best option is to use just regular old like washable glue for this, and you can just saturate the strands and press it down and then give it a good 24 hours to dry, and they'll stay in place and they're flexible afterwards, which is really nice. But because we're pressed for time, we're going to be using contact cement. So we're gonna glove up, get our respirators on, and work a little more quickly to get everything set in place.
Oh, God. Oh, it's
You're doing great. You got this.
disaster.
I'm
Hope
sure
it's
it's amazing. We're gonna start to work on wefting these floofs and getting some strands on them. Wolverine has kind of like a cool streamline layer, hair layer over the top. I think we'll maybe do a big weft over the top of it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah.
saturate and lay the strands, and then let them just set until you can really smoosh them down.
It up from the bottom, a little bit from the top, and keep just shaping it. All I'm doing is putting them on here, pinning them on, just to look at the shapes and the forms compared to like the reference to see if we're starting to approach the shapes of Wolverine. It's like stepping back a little bit further, getting a little bit closer, building up like the front profile, the side profile, and looking at what might be the next steps to it. So I'm just putting these on, pinning them in place because it's a really temporary way to do it. And I'm kind of looking at, you know, is it a small floof? Is it a big floof? How does it look from the front? How does it look from the side? So I've added the big weft over the front of it and over the floofs that we glued on, and then I've used the pins to just lightly style it to make sure that the profile is still matching our reference images, and so that it's starting to look like Wolverine, what we're aiming for. And even though it's still kind of loosey-goosey here and there, I think we're getting closer to what we're trying to achieve. So next step is going to be getting the big weft here that's pinned down, with all these pins holding, into place. Yeah, so we're approaching the end of like the physical construction of it.
Excellent. I love how it looks.
Me too, yeah.
Definitely, the profile from the front is really terrific. These are just getting pressed together a bit. After getting all the glue in all of this hair and styling it a little bit, we went and had dinner, let it dry, and now we can pose it a little bit, really kind of smush it together. Style it even a little bit more and twist it if we think it needs that. We're trying to get like the sort of swoopy do that his thing's got going on there. But also we want to trim it.
Yeah.
We got like this wacky mullet going on down here. We can probably remove that. Well, I can definitely just hack a good amount off the back there. Get that started.
So satisfying.
All right, still fits. Great news.
Yeah.
Look at the back here. So the back is a little bit. There's
It's a little short. Yeah.
Little. We could probably put another weft there if we wanted to.
Brett, what do you think for the when you're looking at the shape of it front wise?
It looks pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And I don't think the sidebars need to go much further down than like here, like have them swoop back or something.
Okay.
Instead of having like a hard rectangle edge on the bottom.
Okay. Swoop back right about there.
Yeah. We decided to extend the back a little bit, so we added another piece here, and we're gonna layer some more wefts underneath this guy. Today is a new day. We let everything dry and air out. It was a little stinky in here. We had our respirators on for all that contact cement. We had the door open. We had a fan. Good to remember if you're working with contact cement. We trimmed the sideburns. Those got a little shorter. We worked them around my ear a bit. And then we tidied up his hockey hair. We got this glorious mullet, this Angus MacGyver looking thing in the back. And I just love it. Looks like he just came off the ice.
We figured that Wolverine is probably, while he does have some incredible ear floofs, maybe a little bit more of a party in the back.
Sure.
So,
oh yeah. Business up front, party in the back. So now we got to do the little swoopy dangle on the front of his forehead there.
And we've got two little pieces that are assembled, and there's already some glue ready to go there. Just gonna guess in a little bit here. I'm gonna attach that, and we can trim that a little bit shorter. Give him and 2.
Cute.
And kind of finger shape it.
It's time for sealing. We're going with FlexBond. It's a PVA sort of thing. We thinned it a little bit with some water, about 4-to-1, so we can really get it down into the strands. And we're just gonna coat this entire thing.
There's a lot of different ways you can seal foam. This is my personal choice, mostly because it also adheres all the strands together. So it's just another layer of adhesive as well that's going to create a surface that we can paint.
Dripping.
Oh,
It's dripping.
He's dripping.
it's dripping!
So we're really working it down into the gaps and everything. All right, we went and got lunch while we waited for the sealing layer to dry, and it's mostly dried. Now for some genuine excitement, we're gonna paint this black hair black. Buckle up, everybody. This is more or less exciting than spray painting a gray 3D printed prop gray. We let the black mostly dry, and it looks pretty good, but we want to add something else. And a lot of the references, his hair is actually blue. They add blue, and I feel like they're trying to do the highlights in blue. So what we were thinking was get a light, and as we move this across the head, we can see the highlights move. So we'll pick up a spot, let's say like this, and from my perspective, this is the most lit up spot. So maybe we add some blue streaks going across like that. The good news is if we do it and it doesn't look good, we can just paint it black again and try over. So I guess I'm just trying to simulate a shine that's going over his head. Of course, we have different lights now. We decided to try this smooth satin from Plaid Effects. It just feels like the right blue. I'm actually doing just a little bit of almost dry brushing, kind of taking the paint I have and dragging it around a little bit, or doing like, yeah, just a little hit of it here and there. I don't need to like paint each strand. I can just sort of cruise across them and get a little hit like that. I think that's pretty good. We did it, Kristy.
We did it!
Thanks to your efforts, especially doing all the prep work, we got this done in just a couple of days. This is really cool. I've never thought to do anything like this. And, well, let's throw it on my head. We went with kind of a cartoony or comic booky looking effect on the hair. I'm thinking if I ever make a costume for this someday, maybe I'll repaint some of the parts to make it match the costume. But I kind of like the idea of doing a costume that's meant to look like it jumped out of
It looks really good.
a comic book.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about foam is like you can repaint it as much as you want.
Oh yeah.
It looks really good.
So,
yeah. It covers all your hair in the back. It looks like it.
And you can just take it right off.
Yeah.
It's like Lego guy hair.
Style it or anything. It definitely looks like Wolverine. Like I don't think he washes his hair every day.
No, probably not. Let's see, is this
I like
right
the
or
little
left hand?
swoop in the front, like a little bit of unkempt, windswept.
There we go. I got my claws too. Actually, here was your right hand.
Oh,
You have a claw. There you go.
Oh.
This was so much fun. I implore you, invite your friends into your shop to teach you something new. It's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you again, Kristy. The Honest Cosplayer on Instagram if you want to go check out what she's been up to. Of course, there we go. We'll have links down below to everything we used if you want to try and make something like this for yourself. It's not a ton of material. This is like a few dollars worth of foam and a little glue and a little paint. So
And a utility knife.
please experiment. That'll do it for us today here in the shop. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks especially to the members of our Extra Credit Club. If you'd like to get access to our videos a few days early, you can join here on YouTube through memberships or over on Patreon. We'll have a link down below. That will do it for us. We've got to go sleep off our ramen hangover from lunch. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next build.